Do you like exercise? How about gaming? Wouldn't you just like to smash both of them together, no matter how dangerous or stupid it might be? Well, now you get to find out what that's like today as we find out if I can beat Fallout New Vegas while running in real life. I'll start off by stating the two main rules of the run. Rule number 1, no fast travel. If I want to go somewhere, I have to walk. Rule number 2, as long as the game isn't paused, I have to be running. Here's how I was able to do it. 2 screens in front of me and a gamepad for me to hold while running. The pace I'll be running throughout the run is a 12-minute mile, which is about a light jog. For all you people that tuned in just to watch me suffer, I'll be in the bottom right corner for your enjoyment. I started off by naming myself Forrest for obvious reasons, and as the courier stood up from his bed and Doc Mitchell let go, I started my run. I went for a high perception, endurance, agility, and luck stat, with the idea to use VATS for all combat I get into. I then tagged guns, medicine, and survival. I then took the traits 4 eyes for more perception, and trigger discipline for better accuracy. After getting my stuff from Doc Mitchell, I decided to play on survival because I'm a hardcore gamer. I then spent time looting Doc Mitchell's house as you do at the beginning of every run, forgetting briefly where the glasses were that I needed to up my perception. And then I was off into Goodsprings. My first stop was behind Jet's General Store, where I stole some Sunset Sarsaparilla. I then decided to drop all the stuff from the DLC because Mama didn't raise no bitch and I don't need it. But while dropping the DLC items, I also accidentally dropped the glasses from Doc Mitchell's house, and I'm going to be rocking perception debuff all game. And spoiler alert, I never did find another pair of glasses. I then stopped by the saloon to talk to Sonny Smiles and get the varmint rifle. And then in the shooting tutorial, I figured out just how hard it was going to be able to actually hit stuff when you're moving in real life. After failing to hit targets at a point-blank range, a common occurrence throughout the rest of the run, I made my way off the prim. Along the way, I ran into a gecko and a rad roach fighting, and I had to show them both that they are not made in God's image as man is. Arriving in the west side of Prim, I stopped to steal all the ammunition from the most perceptive NCR troopers there were. I grabbed the NCR armor at the end of town in order to disguise myself as a trooper later down the line. This would be vital so I'd be able to get on the monorail and take it to the strip. I then headed into Prim proper, grabbing the mines from the bridge and the cowboy repeater from the sheriff's office. After stepping outside the sheriff's office, I got into my first gunfight with the 2 powder gangers that patrol Prim. This is where I learned another valuable lesson about combat while running. Though VATS makes you able to hit shots, it does take longer and slow down the time, so eventually you're running more and more. During the fight, one of the powder gangers decided to flee for no reason. This was a common occurrence throughout this run, and I'm not quite sure why. After the fight, I decided to leave town and book it straight to Nipton. Looking down, I realized I've already ran about 1.5 miles between here and Goodsprings, and it was only getting longer. Arriving in Nipton, I put Oliver down because I didn't want him interrupting my running schedule, and I don't like it when people get in my way. I then took a hard right around the Legion because I was getting tired already and I didn't feel like listening to him speak while I have to continue running. I then made my way through the Viper ambush and killed one with a knife at the end of the road. I was then ambushed by a man from the hillside who didn't have a weapon, but upon further inspection, he looks to be just another man out for a nice jog, so I let him live. I then took a left through the ambushes, and finally arrived in Novak, where I planned on taking my first rest of the run at the hotel. Unfortunately, I forgot I was poor as dirt, so I just ended up sitting on our couch and resting that way. At this point, I've ran about 2.5 miles in distance, and I am actually kind of tired, but we must press on. So after a short rest, I talked to my good friend Nobark and headed out of town towards the 188. About halfway there, I ran into the ambush behind the billboard, which I didn't think much of at first, but then I was instantly flattened by a guy with a grenade launcher. This marked the first death of the run, which means I'd have to reload a previous save, which sucks a lot more when you have to run back to wherever you just died at. But I did, and this time I decided to take a far right route and just go right around them. I picked up Veronica at the 188 so I could use her to get into the Brotherhood bunker later down the line. The 188 trade post is about halfway to New Vegas, and I've already ran about 3 miles in real life. This is when I was starting to realize it was going to take a lot longer to do than I thought it would. Nevertheless, we pressed on because the rendering lights of New Vegas in the distance gave me hope. On the way to McCarran, we took cover behind some NCR troopers who were shooting at fiends. I put on my disguise and we entered the camp, took the monorail, and finally ended up in the Strip. Arriving onto the Strip proper, I've ran about 4 miles in real distance, and I am feeling it. After I finished my break, I headed into the Tops Casino to deal with Benny. It was here I realized I made my first big blunder of the run, and I didn't choose a female courier, so I couldn't eliminate Benny the way I wanted to. Using the Black Widow perk, I could have made it a lot easier to kill Benny, but since I messed up, we're gonna have to do it the hard way. I did, however, level up to level 4 by completing They Went That Way, where I dumped all my skill points into speech for the eventual speech check against the Legate. And with a quick stop to Mr. Holdout to buy a 22 pistol and some hollow point ammo, I was back in business. My plan was to get a sneak attack critical on Benny to hopefully kill him before anybody else notices, so I could get his stuff and be out of there before the whole casino descends upon me. However, the first time around he saw me instantly, and I just had to go with what I had and started punching and shooting wildly until I was eventually shot down. This marked my second death of the run, and looking down at the distance, it was getting close to the 5-mile mark. The second time around I was able to get the sneak attack off, but it just wasn't enough to kill him. So I had to finish him off with my fist and then hightail it up to the suite and hopefully hold out in there. After failing to find anything I could use as a weapon in the back of the suite, I just started throwing haymakers at anybody I could see. About this point, I realized I shouldn't be scared at all because this guy's clearly hit me with that dollar store 22 long rifle, and I was about to push his brains out the back of his head. I found the last guard cowering in the main room for seemingly no reason. I guess watching his friends pump about 130 rounds of 22 long rifle into my chest must have dissuaded him, especially since I shrugged it off as if I was on every drug imaginable. After that, I leveled up to level 5 and pumped even more skill points into speech. Stepping back outside the suite, I was surprised to see that nobody really cared that I shot Benny and his guards, and they were all just cool with it. So I went and talked to Yes Man and got the quest to kill Mr. House. I put the funny test tube man down, leveled up to level 6, grabbed the toughness perk, and watched Yes Man ascend to the lucky 38 computer. I then received the first 2 wildcard quests, You and What Army, and Side Bets. This is where I ran into the second big blunder of my run. I forgot that you actually had to go meet all the factions before you could tell Yes Man you wanted to ignore them, which means I would have to backtrack all the way across the map. But like I said earlier, Mama didn't raise no bitch, so here we go. I started with meeting the Omertas, then the Ultralux, and then headed out the Freeside North Gate towards the Boomers. Along the way, I shot George in the head because once again, I hate it when people interrupt my running. I then did a mad dash to the artillery barrage, which gave me shell shock and schizophrenia. But I met the Boomers, grabbed some power armor for Veronica, and made my way towards Red Rock Canyon to meet the cons. On the way, I took a shortcut through North Vegas Square and leveled up to level 7. I dumped all my skill points into speech once again and continued on the way. I banged a left on the far side in between the mountains and New Vegas and ended up behind the Sunset Sarsaparilla bottling factory. Back here, I ran into some fiends, so I attempted to escape by taking the ridge line, but after turning around and seeing Veronica not there, I decided to turn and fight. Veronica gave the first one the Arizona Iced Tea Special, and the other two didn't last very long after that. But unfortunately, I got seen by Cook's gang and got a little overzealous and rushed them head on. And with me being as tired as I was, I failed to see how low my health was, resulting in death number 3. The next time around, I decided to take a more internal route closer to Vegas and around the front of the bottling plant. On my way past, I got revenge on Cook and got my hands on some metal armor. With all the backtracking and whatnot I've done so far, I made it to Red Rock Canyon in about 8 miles of real distance. The exhaustion from how far I ran was starting to take a serious toll on me and my legs, and that led to me trying to push through the Cazador way back to Goodsprings instead of going all the way back around. This proved to be a very bad choice because Veronica kept dying and I kept having to reload the save. After Veronica died twice, I had had enough. By that point, I had run about give or take 8 miles and was tired and exhausted. I decided to leave it there and pick it up tomorrow. For our brief intermission, I present to you my cat that tried to unalive itself on the treadmill while I was running. On day 2, it was on. And then finally, after one lucky grenade, we were at Doc Mitchell's house. After I had Doc fix me up, I hauled ass to Hidden Valley. For some reason, when we got here, Veronica wouldn't open the door whatsoever. So I had to use the passcode I got when getting her power armor, which made me do the side quest. But one NCR trooper convinced to leave later, I was good to go. I took the same route I did the first time, past Prim and up behind Nipton. Surprisingly, I ran into a familiar face up here, the guy I left to live, and he's holding his friend's knife. He chased me for a little while, but eventually gave up. That or Veronica turned him into paste off screen. I passed by the outskirts of Searchlight on my way to Cottonwood Cove and gave some glowing Gould troopers some buckshot for breakfast. And finally, I made it to Cottonwood Cove. I boarded the boat, took my property back from Caesar, and made my way to the Securitron bunker under the fort, where, as you could probably guess, I ran through the whole thing without firing a shot. After the bunker, I leveled up to level 8, dumped all my points into speech, and took toughness level 2 because it's been serving me well. I then took the exact same route as the first time, all the way back to the Lucky 38. Told Yes Man I didn't care about Kimball. Strolled into El Dorado Station disguised so I could install the chip incognito. And finally, told Yes Man I was ready to start the dam. After long last, and almost getting killed by my own Securitrons at the very end, wearing Benny's suit and drunk off of whiskey, I talked a Leggett down, talked General Oliver down, and then threw him off the dam. So the answer is yes. You can beat Fallout New Vegas while running on a treadmill. It's not very fun during, but at the end, after beating it, you feel great. In an entirety, I've ran about 18.21 miles. I took 8 breaks walking between 100 meters and 150 meters each time. So shooting right in the middle at 125 meters each time, that is 1 mile off the total. So I ran about 17 miles and 21 meters in total to beat the game. If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment or a like and let me know how I did. Most of all, have a good day.